What's happening, folks? Welcome back to Celtic Fans TV. It's time for live full-time reaction. The Hearts 1, Celtic 2 at Tynecastle. I've got Kenny and Kevin with me. You can ask your questions and get your comments in the live chat box below, and we'll try and pick out any good ones as we go through. Kenny, we'll start with you, mate. A massive 3 points for us tonight.
Yeah, well, another nerve-shattering experience, but as big a league win as Celtic have had in the last 18 months, I would suggest. It had everything. I mean, 60 minutes whereby we just showed our flair, our technical ability, our pressing, showing that we were so many levels above Hearts. And then, but when you're in Tynecastle and it's that powder keg environment, you only are ever a goal away from the psychology of the whole thing changing. But for that last 30 minutes, okay, we rode the luck, we missed a penalty. But for that last 30 minutes, we showed true grit and guts. And you need a balance of both those things to win league titles. And we're showing that as we're getting deeper into the season and we're hanging on to the coattails of Rangers, that we are absolutely bona fide contenders for the league title. And if you think of the ingredients there, blustery conditions, the psychology of losing some of our key men, difficult decisions for Postecoglou to make in midfield, out wide, at centre forward. I think you get every single one of them right. When you throw all that together, hanging only 4 points behind, we've got no margin for error. When you throw all that together, to come out of the traps and to blitz them for 1 hour and put 2 goals by them, it could have been 4, is really testament to the spirit of the side, to the way Postecoglou's got them organised, to how on earth we're getting these players at sub £2 million that are coming in. That young guy, O'Reilly, £1.5 million, throwing him into Tynecastle from League One on a Wednesday night, and he rises like that. Superb. The recruitment has been weak for years. It's now in a really strong place. And we shouldn't have been in that position whereby we were hanging on at the end. The game should have been out of sight after an hour. But you've got to step back and say there's real credit across the board here, and particularly with the guts and the way that Postecoglou is driving this side. It's not just flair and technical ability. It's about riding things out when the push comes to shove. And tonight was another example of it. That's as big a win as we've had in 18 months in the league.
Aye, it's massive. Kevin, you look at the lineup tonight, and Kenny briefly mentioned it there. A lot of changes enforced through injury or guys been away in international duty. A debut for O'Reilly. It's only Hatate's second game. We've got Giakoumakis up front, who, by all accounts, now is the third choice striker with Maeda at the club. So difficult for us to navigate that game with a changed lineup, with guys who don't have a lot of game time, haven't been at Celtic for very long, a few of them. But I thought O'Reilly, excellent tonight, and Hatate again, particularly in that first half, were excellent.
Yeah, I mean, Hatate was absolutely fantastic. I mean, the goal is just something, it was just sheer quality and power, but we'll come to that in a minute. But O'Reilly, for coming into the cauldron that can be Tynecastle and can be such a daunting venue for any team coming into it, I thought we handled it superbly in the first 60 minutes. I do think, though, I mean, there is a case of, like, we do need to start trying to finish games off, because Gordon made a couple of saves early in the second half where we could have killed the game off no matter what, even if Hearts did come into it. But I think when you look at it, is what Kenny alluded to, I mean, that last season would never have happened, the grit and determination to see results out like that, albeit we weren't really in situations like that last season. But that just shows how far we've came as a team and how far the recruitments came, because O'Reilly and Hatate were absolutely fantastic. And Giakoumakis, as much as he is the third choice striker, I thought he had a good game tonight. He done what he had to do. He held the ball up in certain situations. He took his goal well. And it's all you can ask of a striker. But with a game like that at Tynecastle, you're just happy to take 2-1. It can be 4-0, 5-0, but 2-1 you'll take all day long. And yeah, we rode well up, but we need a bit of luck. And the amount of bad luck we've had with injuries, I think, has been reversed ever so slightly with Liam Boyce's penalty miss tonight.
Yeah. Kenny, you went on last week after the Hibs game. What have you made of Hatate so far?
I mean, his low centre of gravity and his technical ability is absolutely outstanding. I mean, we've watched Celtic for long enough. How long does it take to try and find somebody like that? Even if you spent £5 or £6 million and found someone like that with that technical ability, you would think that was a steal. So I think it's an undisclosed fee, but it sounds like we've got him for buttons. It's amazing. I don't know how we've managed it. And to throw him in, it was a bit of a test for him. It was a bit of a revelation for the fans tonight for him, because, okay, he was excellent against Hibs. That's in front of 60,000. It's a comfortable game. He probably enjoyed it. He was full of smiles. It's a very different atmosphere when you've got people biting at your legs away at Tynecastle and you've got 20,000 away fans bearing down on you. That's a true test of that's an awakening into Scottish football. But he was excellent, just his touches. It was outfoxing players. That shot was just an absolute rocket, and that's because he's got a low centre of gravity. He's got a brilliant technique, and someone like Craig Gordon, who's an international quality goalkeeper that we saw stop shots for that distance for Celtic over 200 games, couldn't cope with the power and the technique involved. And he's playing with a smile on his face, and then what you're going to get out of him is a brilliant attitude. You've got it out of Kyogo. It appears that we're going to get it out of the contingent from the Far East. It's just their work ethic. It's the way they play. So you're not buying. We didn't buy that guy McCree because he chased money and he went to the Championship. He wouldn't have dug in that environment the way the players that we have tonight. Not a chance. So we've done the right thing with our recruitment, and he's an absolute diamond, Hatate. It wouldn't surprise me if he went for major money at some point in the future, but we're going to enjoy him for a few years before then.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the thing that really sticks out, you mentioned his attitude, and his engine is brilliant as well, but the way he protects the ball, Cammy Devlin in midfield for Hearts, who is an ankle biter, to say the least, could not get near him. He kept taking the ball with Devlin at his back and just rolling him. He was evading challenges. He carries the ball brilliantly, but his range of passing as well. Kevin, we've seen it last week, a few switches of play tonight again. Long passes, short passes, always wanting to play forward. He looks a real find, doesn't he?
Exactly. It's not just the range of passing as well. It's how calm and confident and even composed he is on the ball. Because even when Devlin, who, as you say, is an ankle biter, tries to get around him, he always just finds a way to navigate around him or any other Hearts play tonight. And I think that's what I like about him most. He just makes everything look so calm. Whereas other players would panic in the middle of that environment. He makes it look so easy. And I do think we've got a real player in our hands, because if he's going to contribute like that, fight it out for 90 minutes and chip in with the odd goal. And if it's thunderbolts like that, I mean, I'm not seeing many goals like that go through keepers' hands, like that. It really has been some time, and it's a contender for goal of the season. And it's just some hit from almost 30 yards. And even Jota, who's like the most flair player that we have, would probably even be capable of that. His reaction just said it all. But
I was screaming for him to pass it to Jota. Screaming for him to pass it.
I mean, just as well he didn't, because in the context, obviously, we got the goal. But, I mean, I still think, the best is yet to come from him. And the work ethic of the 3 Japanese players that we brought in will only grow further as we go through the season. And I think they're going to be very imperative towards what will be a credible title challenge now. As I say again, it was just important that we got the win tonight. And players like Hatate, players like Giacomakis, players like O'Reilly, who came in, got an assist tonight. Not many players do that on their debut for Tynecastle. We only had to look back at July and witness the not so great debut of Carl Starfelt. And again, it's just further testament to how far we've came in such a short space of time.
Yeah, Kenny, in that first half, there was a 5-minute spell where we had to settle in the game. Always the case at Tynecastle, obviously, in that atmosphere. But I thought after that, we really dominated. And along with Hatate and O'Reilly, the other standout in the first half was Jota. He was absolutely electric, wasn't he?
Yeah, Jota's at a different level to any winger we've got, and to any winger we've had in sort of recent memory. It goes without saying, buying him for £6 million is an absolute no-brainer. He's worth 3 times that today already. We just need to convince him to put pen to paper. I don't know if that's going to happen. Even the little cameos he made against Hibs and Alloa, just when he comes on the park, his presence, his ability to go by a man, his brain, those little balls round the corner down the line that just outfox everyone and put us in on goal. Every single touch he makes is on the money. And his attitude is brilliant as well. He enjoys it here. He's full of character in his interviews. We've got to do everything we can to keep him, because we're a different animal when he plays. I would also say, I think it was a clever move giving Near Bit on the captaincy tonight. He could easily have given that captaincy to Joe Hart, but he's recognised that McGregor's going to be out for a number of games, and he's recognised that there's no substitute for Cal McGregor. We don't have another £20 million player on the bench. We never will. We're always going to drop a level when somebody like him falls out. But he gave responsibility to Bitton to make sure that he was right at his game, that he was thinking about the responsibility, that everything he had. And I thought he was excellent. He was putting himself about. The fact that Jota got the ball so often was because Bitton was winning the ball in midfield and carrying it forward and playing it simple. He held things together as the pivot really well tonight. and he deserves as much credit as the others, I think, as captain, because it was a sterling performance from someone with his experience, and that's what we needed tonight.
Aye, I think it's a real vote of confidence, isn't it, for the manager to give him the armband? Am I right in saying that Starfelt finished? I thought Starfelt had an armband on, but maybe it was just a black armband. But you could see the C inside it, and I was thinking, Beaton's still on the pitch. I don't know what's happened there. So I think they were wearing black captain's armbands inside it or something.
I think you were hallucinating towards the end of the game, Paul, with stress.
Maybe that is the most likely. That's the most likely outcome, mate. It is. Kevin, the second goal is a great finish by Giakoumakis, improvisation to just backheel it under pressure for Suter. It's a good ball in for O'Reilly. Hatate involved again in the build-up, getting on the ball in midfield and playing it out to O'Reilly. It's contentious again. There was another more contentious goal in this game that we'll come to. It seems that these moments in these games against Hearts this season are pretty frequent.
It's very, very hard with the naked eye. You're going to have to need VAR to even get close to justifying whether it was the right decision or not.
Suter's foot's playing him onside, isn't it?
That's the way that I've seen it, that he's playing him onside. That's the way we saw it in the group chat when we were discussing it, shall we say. But you're going to take it because we just need sometimes our luck to kind of go with us on that. And the finish with Giakoumakis, it's shades of Moussa Dembele with the back heel and the improvisation, and he does do well. And for a striker that's not so high in confidence just now, okay, he got his goal against Alloa, but to still try that and for it to come off, that will give him an absolute boost of confidence, and the fact that he needs that going in because he's going to have to do it the same on Saturday, because you would imagine that he will start on Saturday. But yeah, I mean, absolutely fantastic. And from there, you think, this is easier than we thought. But then you're slowly thinking about what we were saying last Saturday, whereby we are actually, it's the finishing of the job. We're not bad at starting the job. We just need to finish it, and we need to get better at that, because as much as Hearts are third in the league, they still caused us a lot of problems as they came into it. But we definitely need to start finishing because it's not our luck could run out at any time in that respect.
Yeah, I think just on Giakoumakis, I thought he put in a good shift tonight. He did. Mm-hmm. Again, I think most of the team in the second half were dead on their feet, and I think you've seen that towards the end of the game. But I thought his intensity without the ball was actually the best I've seen it so far at the club. Mm-hmm. Kenny, I said at half time, I didn't want a second half dip. This has been a bit of a theme where we play at such an intensity in the first half that there always seems to be at least a slight drop off in the second. I was really disappointed with Hearts' goal. One, obviously, because it was offside, but two, because it comes for a straight ball up the middle of the park, and there's confusion between Starfelt and Taylor, and they just leave it, and Mackay gets onto it and finds Boyce. So it was a poor goal to lose, and that just breathed life back into Hearts. Yeah,
and it came from nowhere, because Starfelt was having a great game up until that point. Not that he was entirely to blame with that goal, but he had a hand in it. And it's the finishing, isn't it? I've not looked at the statistics of the game yet, but when you look how busy Craig Gordon is, Craig Gordon's shattered because he's making save after save after save. And ordinarily that means the team runs out of 5-0 winners. And that's happened repeatedly throughout the season. But we just can't. The third goal kills it. Teams don't come back. It's a miracle if they come back from 3 goals. They can from 2. But we can't get the third goal. And until the third goal happens, you can't relax, because for some reason, psychologically, we're vulnerable to conceding at any point. And especially if you concede to a bottom 6 side, you can kind of see the game out. If you concede with half an hour to go at Tynecastle and they're bearing down on you, it's a different matter. And we almost, it was almost a draw within moments after that. So yeah, it was as much losing that goal, as much as it was frustrating just from a lapse in the sort of quality of the defence. You knew at that point it was going to be backs to the wall for 30 minutes. But they handled that pretty, penalty aside, they handled a lot of deep balls, they handled a lot of dirty stuff, they handled a lot of the sort of dark arts of the game pretty well in that last 30 minutes. I think they deserve a bit of credit. Carter Vickers doesn't put a foot wrong. The guy's an absolute rock. In games like that, he's just unflustered. I can't remember the last time I saw Carter Vickers make a mistake. For £6 million, we've got to bite the hands off of Spurs to get that deal done. It's a bit alarming that those deals aren't actually done, because presumably the board see it the same way that we do, that it should be done. But he's acting as a real stalwart of that back line. Juranovic as well was superb.
Oh, excellent.
Not just in that last half hour. Even in the first half, when they came forward, he marshalled that back line really well. Juranovic in that last half hour was a level above in terms of the right backs that we've had in recent years. Absolutely outstanding for Juranovic.
Yeah, the thing that really stands out about Juranovic, that one in the first half, where I think it's a ball hooked around the corner for Devlin and Barry Mackay, and he comes out of nowhere. His recovery runs are brilliant. He's lightning quick. He's a great defender, Juranovic. Kevin, we did have to weather a storm after Hearts got back in the game with that goal. Would you make the penalty?
I think it's very, very unlucky to be given. I mean, on the laws of the game, you've seen them given countless times. But it does almost like it comes off of Beaton and off of O'Brien. So it really is who is in fault there. But as soon as the shout went up from the fans, you just knew that John Beaton was going to point to the spot. And to be honest, I did not see Boyce missing because he is a good penalty taker. And I don't think I've seen many penalties go right across the face of the goal and actually still go past the post. And there was no more relieved man than me, believe me, jumping about the living room, thankfully, for a good reason. But I just thought, as soon as the penalty was given, I just thought, right, that's our luck change. Now we can see this out, because if we can survive the penalty, we can survive the onslaught of the last 20 minutes. And I thought we did do it absolutely brilliantly. And even when James McCarthy came on, as much as he's been a bit maligned by the media, a bit maligned by the fans, he did what he had to do. He shored it up at certain pieces. Okay, he gave the ball away right after winning the ball away from Barry Mackay, but he was asked to do what he had to do and kick it, just get it away, get it out of danger, and all of them to a man done what they had to do tonight, and that was grind out a result at a tough venue. So for me, it's just, we're happy just to see it through and get the 3 points and still just stay right behind Rangers. Yeah,
absolutely. Kenny, you touched on Carter Vickers there. I thought Starfelt as well at times defended well. He had a great block at 2-1 for a low cross in the second half. And we had to defend a lot of crosses, a lot of corners as well. But I thought we managed the added time very well. I think that's probably the least stressful part of the second half, funnily enough, the added time.
Yeah, we're doing the traditional stuff, playing it into the corner, protecting it. A bit of alarm when Sorrell comes on and he's starting to try and swing balls into the box. But, I mean, Starfelt is a good defender. There's absolutely no... I can see why Starfelt was in the Swedish international squad. He's excellent on the deck. He's aggressive when the ball comes into the number 9's feet. He'll win it off him more often than not. He can... I think his passing statistics are the best in the league in terms of his short passing and how many passes he's landed. So he's got everything. It's just his concentration. It's purely his concentration. Unfortunately, that's a big weakness. Concentration, even if it is one lapse a game, can cost you points. You must stamp that out, because Vickers doesn't do that. But I think he's definitely worth pursuing, Starfelt. I don't think he should be vilified by some sections of the support the way he is. But if you look at that first game, to try and gauge our progress, if you look at the equivalent, we were in that exact same position in July, in the 1st of August or the 31st of July. It was a draw, okay, but high balls into the box. We're all over the shop. We didn't know what we were doing. They win the game. What do we do this time? Roll forward 7 months. We see it out in a professional way. We're taking the ball into the corner. We're shielding it. We're doing all of the hallmarks of a side that have got confidence and comfort under pressure. So that's a straight measure of how much we've grown. And just to touch on, if you don't mind, Paul Giamakis, I think one of the big takeaways tonight is the performance of Giamakis. Giamakis must have had to do a lot of soul searching in the last 2 months after he was a villain after he missed that penalty against Livingston. He's then had an injury. He's come to a foreign country. He doesn't know anyone. He doesn't know the club. That was a really big turning point, I would hope, in his Celtic career. He held people off excellently. He was a bully in terms of shooting is a nightmare to play against physically. He was given as good as he got. That was a really technically excellent goal he scored. I hope that, okay, he might remain the third choice striker, but he might be a really nice option off the bench. And if we are injury affected up front, it looks now like he can go in with his head held high. I think that was a big come away from tonight's game, was the Giamakis performance.
Yeah, absolutely. Kevin, he did well, and I'm just going to get my camera back on just now. he did well tonight, and he's going to have to step up. He stepped up tonight, but we've got 2 big games coming up: Dundee United at the weekend, and then the derby next week. So he's going to have to keep that going.
Yeah, I mean, it's the perfect way to be going into 2 equally important games, because these 3 games are potentially 3 games that could decide where we are as a team and where we go forward in terms of a title challenge. We've passed the first stage. We've got the win. Now with Giakoumakis, you want him to be now doing that against Dundee United. You would like to think he could get another goal, maybe, or even just to try and show what he can do, as well as, give himself the confidence to show why he was signed in the first place. He was the top scorer in the Dutch league, and the Dutch league is a tough league. It might not be one of your more well-marketed leagues, but it's still a tough league with great players and great teams. And the fact that he was a top goal scorer in that league with a team that was fighting relegation tells you all you need to know. So he does have the ability to score goals. He's done that 2 in 2 games so far. So he's got a bit of confidence back. We just need him to see that through. And if he can see us through this period of games with hopefully 9 points, then I think it's easy to say that he's turned a corner, definitely, in terms of his career. And hopefully he can push on for here and try and make himself more involved in the team, because if he does what he needs to do over these next 2 games, he should be more than involved within the first team setup.
We've signed so much rubbish in terms of tall, powerful forwards. Amido Balde, Skepovic, Carlton Cole, to take it to an extreme. They would have no chance of scoring. They would have no chance of scoring 29 goals in the Dutch league. Now, the fact that no one else tried to sign him apart from Werder Bremen, it was a bit worrying at the time, and he does look a bit raw. But the fact that he did that, it tells you there's something there. There's something we need to work with. And tonight, I think, was the first proper showing that he's had in a Celtic jersey that supports his transfer.
Yeah, Kenny, there's a consensus that these 3 games were season-defining. No room for error. We've won tonight. We've got to win against Dundee United at Celtic Park on Saturday. We dropped points against them the last time at Celtic Park. But these next 2 games are absolutely monumental for us, particularly, obviously, the derby next Wednesday.
Yeah, and I don't think we can look too far ahead of that, because what can often happen in a game of that intensity with someone like O'Reilly, who's thrown in and was excellent. We've not even talked about O'Reilly. I thought he was absolutely excellent for 1.5 million. His performance was outstanding. To throw a young kid in there into that environment with that physical pressure, he's like a young Rogic, but a young Rogic that can handle a bit of the physical side of the game. So for 1.5 million, that's an absolute steal. But what we can't do is let after the intensity of a game like that, sometimes your level can drop slightly in between a Hearts and a Rangers game. That can't happen. We've got to go right back at it, because we're still going to be depleted. I don't think we'll have anyone back. We'll probably have the same selection. So it's just about being professional, keeping that level. If we throw that first 60 minutes at Dundee United at Celtic Park, the game's over. The game is over. So we've just got to be professional and throw that at them. We should see them out, and then it's all about the following Wednesday. But I tell you what, it sounds like Rangers have struggled again tonight. 7 months ago, we've got inherited a team that's 25 points behind Rangers, and a good 25 points behind, or just 25 points behind. We've now got a side that I believe, hand on heart, is a better squad than Rangers and a better side than Rangers. 4 points is a big difference, unfortunately, in this league, given how tight it is. A lot of it's going to ride on the outcome of that night. But I think if we can play like we did tonight, we're going to give them a hell of a shock.
Yeah, I hope so. Kevin, can you pick a man of the match tonight? A lot of good individual performances. We've talked about Hatate. Kenny rightly mentioned O'Reilly, who maybe didn't talk about in as much detail as we should have. He cramped up towards the end, but I thought he was excellent. A lot of really nice passes, created a lot of chances, looked good on the ball. Jota as well, obviously. Any other standouts for you?
Well, I think we've already mentioned him, but I think we have to give such a particular mention to Nir Bitton. To come in and do what he had to do tonight. He's a player that's divided opinion over the amount of years that he has been here, since 2013, I think. And this was his first proper test as a Celtic player, in terms of him as a player, not him as a player playing. But it was more that he done what he had to do, and I thought he actually handled the pressure of being a captain absolutely fantastic and played superbly. Nothing much was getting past him, and he kept his head, especially after getting that yellow card, because normally the beaten on of old would have been a wee bit scatterbrain and could have cost us, but you saw him, he wasn't going into tackles as he would have been. He was kind of keeping the head as a captain should do. So I think for the position that he was put in, and for him to then see that through in such an important match, I think he deserves to be the pick out of the bunch. But everyone will have a different opinion. But I mean, to be honest, everyone was great tonight, and they all done their shift.
Absolutely, it's a good team performance. Kenny, is there a standout for you?
Yeah, look, I find it difficult to look beyond Jota. I just look at that first 60 minutes, and I just think he's on a bit of a different level from everyone, really, in terms of his ability to go by a man, his brain, his feet, his passing. It's all just it's such a high level. I know he was only on the park for an hour, but I think my heart wants to give it to Giammakis just because his sort of career felt like it was partly on the line, and he did excellently. But my head's got to give it to Jota. Only an hour, but my God, we've got to sign that boy.
Aye, he was excellent. I'm going to go with Hatate. I thought he was just outstanding in the first half. Did tire in the second half, but I think we've got a real player in our hands there. There you go. That's it for the live full-time reaction tonight. Like this video, comment with your own thoughts on the game below. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And we'll see you on Friday for the build-up to that Dundee United game at Celtic Park. Cheers.